Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Entrepreneur Spotlight. I'm Abram Gonzalez, owner of Digital Harvest. I'm here with Mike Schlichte, owner of Absolute Real Estate and Absolute Property Management. We didn't plan this, by the way. The whole shirts thing? Yeah. We're studs, but we didn't plan it.
We did plan it, kind of.
Okay, maybe, fine. Yeah, you got the telepathy before we started. But hey, I'm excited to bring you Mike today because for me, actually moving to Rio Rancho, he's been a huge inspiration and a huge help in our business and getting ourselves out there. He's well integrated in the community. He's doing a lot of things. You'll find that he's so humble, I might have to pull extra stuff out of him just so we can get the real deal with just how involved and how much he's giving back to this community. So Mike, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
I would love for you to tell our viewers a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur, maybe what got you started or like sparked that for you.
Yeah.
And then a little bit about what you're doing now.
Okay, great. So I knew that I wanted to be self-employed. I wanted to own my own business very early on in life. And after a couple years of community college, I knew for a fact that I didn't want to do what I was doing currently, which was a house painter. I was going to college painting houses. I worked for a few different companies. And I actually had a mentor of mine. He basically showed me everything that I could ever want to know about the painting business and tips and tricks. I mean, he was a multimillionaire and had everything really figured out. He had everything that I wanted. He had achieved the business, he had a great family, he had a great house, he had all these things in a single generation that when I saw that, I thought, that's what I want for my life. I want more out of life. I want more everything. I want more love, I want more happiness, I want more material things, I want it all. And he gave me a picture of how that could happen in a single lifetime. And so even though he gave me some of those keys, I knew I didn't want to be a painter. I didn't like wearing painting whites. I didn't like people looking at me a certain way. I just didn't like it. And so even though I had all these keys, and if I would have stuck with painting, I probably would have made more money in the last 15 years than I made in real estate.
Sure.
However, I've been building for the long term. And so in 2005, I got my real estate license. I originally got my license because I wanted to buy and sell real estate in the Rio Rancho and Albuquerque area. And my great idea at age 22 was that if I'm a licensed broker, I'll make a little bit of money on the purchase and I'll save some money on the sale. This was during 2005. The market was really ramping up for the big boom and bust. And I got sucked into the retail side of it where people were just, you put a sign in the yard, the house sells, whether you were good or bad or indifferent. Luckily for me, I was able to cut my teeth in a time where you didn't really need experience. You just throw your sign up there, you sell a house. So I quit my full-time job as a painter in 2007. It was July of 2007. And as some of you may or may not know, the market really tanked that same year. So October 2008 is whenever I went out on my own and started my own business called Absolute Real Estate. And at the time I was selling somewhere between 12 and 16 homes a year. And when the market shifted, I would do anything and everything to make ends meet. I would paint your house if you would let me list it. I would tile your kitchen. I would re-roof your house. During that period of time, I did just about everything. I mean, I was a house flipper, so I knew how to do everything start to finish. And my wife and I would re-roof houses together. She almost fell through a skylight one time. So we're kind of have this gritty, grind it out, work hard. My parents instilled a really strong work ethic.
That's where you got it from. Yeah.
And both my parents and me in my adult life have had to retrain ourselves to think smarter rather than work harder. And that's something that we're still dealing with because I'll still get out there. I was at an open house last week and I have 13 listings and sell about 45 homes a year, and I was at an open house last week staining some wood on the front of the house. I had my ladder, I had my drop cloth. It was bringing back memories. I don't think I have PTSD because I did actually enjoy it.
You finished too.
I was listening to some podcasts, I was staining a fence, and I was letting people into the house. So that's kind of my background. I've been heavily involved with real estate investors throughout that whole entire time because that's really my foundation and my base. And in 2013, I was reaching this critical point where I had to refer business out to other property managers. I had all these owners that said, hey, who do you recommend? And I couldn't find anyone to really do a good job on the property management side. So I had the great idea of going it alone, trying it myself. And I say,
How'd that go?
I'm not a great, I know I own a property management company. Me personally, I'm not a great property manager.
Yeah.
But luckily, I was able to get involved with a friend of mine at the time. He was in a B&I chapter with me. His name is Joe Villalva. And in 2013, he was the first employee that I hired. But I knew before I even hired him that at some point him and I would end up being business partners because he had a ton of potential. He had a lot of things that I lacked. He has a great attention to detail. He has a lot of things that fill in where I'm weak.
Right.
And so some people talk about partnerships negatively. My experience with a business partner for what I wanted to accomplish, I know for a fact I wouldn't have been able to do without his help. And so 2013, him and I partnered up, and he is a co-owner of both Absolute Real Estate and Absolute Property Management. We started with 12 properties that we managed, 12 under contract, which on average is about $1,200 a month in revenue.
Sure.
It's about $100 a month per unit. And since that time we've grown, we're about 260 units under management.
Wow.
We have 10 employees, 3 full-time maintenance guys. I'm still selling the same amount of houses, between 40 and 50 homes a year. Half those are investors, half of those are regular retail buyers and sellers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. So with all of that growth, and then I also want to get into a little bit in just a second, some of the involvement that you have with the community here.
Yes.
I think why you're a really important person that people need to be in contact with and in touch with. But with all that growth, there's some challenges, right? So what would you say would be like maybe if you could cherry pick one thing that was like a pivotal moment for you as an entrepreneur where maybe you thought about throwing in the towel or you really had to dig deep, what was that? Where'd you find the inspiration and what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to be a real estate investor, and so that was really the motivation, is that I wanted residual income.
Okay.
And I knew that there was going to be this tipping point, and I'm still in the process of that. I mean, I wouldn't say that I've arrived. I mean, I have certain life comforts, but I haven't received the amount of residual income that I want. So that's really been, it's almost like a motivation by laziness. I want residual income so bad that I am willing to do whatever it takes and make that happen. So I don't know if there was one particular turning point, other than I kind of reached this point where I thought, okay, this is never going to be easy. I always thought that at some point you would just arrive, you would plateau, and there you go. The sun would rise and just everything would be perfect. And I've since learned that that's just not really how life goes. It's not even really what defines a happy life or a fulfilled life. The struggle is part of the happiness. The struggle is part of the thing that makes this life so wonderful. Not that you want to just struggle all the time. You got to have some victories, but the illusion of arriving and making it someday has really been cleansed from my psyche. And I know that if it's not this challenge that I'm dealing with today, there's going to be a challenge 15 years from now that I haven't even learned how to see what that challenge might be, because I just don't know what it will be. So I think it's just kind of a never-ending path of, this is the path I'm on. I take success very seriously. I take material wealth very seriously, because I want to provide for my family. I want to provide for the people around me, my employees, my business partner. They're all relying on me, and I'm relying on them. And so I just definitely want to do my part. So
yeah, I hear you on that. If you knew what residual income was, you would run through a brick wall to get it, right? Isn't that like a Zig Ziglar quote or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to be able to put projects and deals together where you have recurring income for years, even after you put the deal together.
Yeah, very neat. So last thing I think we'll wrap up with, and I think it'd be nice for people to know just how involved you are in the community. Are there a couple of things that really light you up or that you're passionate about here in Rio Rancho? What are those kind of things? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, so part of my involvement with the community was by accident. My dad served as the school board president for 20 years in Rio Rancho. And
I didn't know that. I missed that.
Yeah, I saw that as kind of an example. And at one point, I think it was 2008, he asked me, he said, hey, are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce? And I was like, well, no, because I don't know what that is. And he told me like, oh, well, this is what they do. I ended up getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce. And when I arrived at the Chamber of Commerce, it was just like nobody my age. You know, I was 26 years old. I was ready to like conquer everything. And then you'd go to an event and you're the youngest person by 20 years. And it's really hard to connect with people that you don't have anything in common with, and they view you as a child. You know, let's be honest. If you're 45 and you meet a 25-year-old kid who's like ready to do all this stuff, it's kind of comical. It's like, wow, you don't know anything. You
haven't been through it like I have.
No, you haven't been through it like I have. And now, knowing some of those things and learning some of those lessons, I realized that. So that was my first interaction with getting involved in the community. I since served on the SIPCAT committee with the city of Rio Rancho, which helps design impact fees and advises the city council. I now serve on the Rio Rancho Chamber Board of Directors, and then I serve as the at-large position. It's mayor appointed for planning and zoning, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. And that stuff's really fun for me. I mean, it just fits with what I want to do and how I can help. I know more about the area, the community, land use. It just fits for my industry, and it's really helped kind of polish my weapons a little bit and get me out there into the community. And it's really by accident. And the wonderful thing I would say for anybody that's watching this, if you're an entrepreneur and you're young, the great thing about being young is that people will assume you know a lot more than you do if you just show up. You don't even have to perform. It's just if you're under 30 and you're at networking events and you're growing your business and you're trying to make your community better, people gravitate towards that.
For sure.
Community leaders, other people are like desperate
for that energy.
That energy, they want it, they feed on it. And so, you know, even though I didn't know what I was doing when I got involved with SIPCAC, I didn't know what I was doing when I got involved in the Chamber Board of Directors, I definitely didn't know what I was doing when I got involved with planning and zoning. I was able to learn some of that stuff, and people give you more responsibility because they think that you can do it. And it's like, even if you don't, there's been so many times where I haven't known what I'm doing, but it's just, okay, I've figured out all these things in the past.
Right.
So chances are whatever obstacle I come up against, I'll be able to overcome that as well. And so that's really it, is just people want to give you a chance if all you do is show up. If all you're doing is you show up and you're consistent and you do what you say you're going to do, you tell the truth, you're going to get more and more responsibility, and people are going to be looking for you as that leader, I guess.
Right.
I never set out to be a community leader. It sort of has developed into that because I volunteered for things and I've stepped up when needed. So I'm now the vice chair of planning and zoning, and I don't know if this is public record, but the very first time I had to lead my own meeting, I had literally never done anything like that before. So I was sweating bullets. And so luckily I've had some really great mentors in my life that made me a little bit less fearful. But that's how I got involved in the community and what I'm currently doing. And I think that's about it.
That's about it, right? So if you can't tell, this is why I wanted Mike on for the Entrepreneur Spotlight, because he's a guy that's a hustler. He's in there showing up. Like, and that's the thing about you, like, you always show up.
Yeah.
And that stands out for me. And you're huge. You're a huge giver. And I think people need the opportunity to recognize recognize staples in the community like you. So I appreciate you being here.
Givers gain.
Givers gain, that's
Yes.
right. How can people connect with you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
My email address, mike@my505home.com, is probably the best way to send me an email. I have some courses coming out on how to get started in the world of investing in real estate. I have some FAQs coming out for homeowners that are looking to potentially rent their home out, because there are a lot of pitfalls, and most people don't understand some of the risks that's associated. They think residual income, and I'm going to jump in. There's some things that you should be aware of before you do that. So.
For sure. So, hey, there might be some other stuff too that we'll talk about after this interview's over. I'll put that all that content in the description below this video. Go check it out. Connect with Mike if you'd like to, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us with this episode of the Entrepreneur Spotlight. If you haven't already clicked that subscribe button, check out some of our recent videos, and most importantly, if you want to nominate somebody for an upcoming episode, go ahead and comment below, give us their information, and we'll see if we can make some magic.